Hey, what's up? It's Andy. Welcome to the Twin Flame Game Series. And today we're going to talk about shifts. This is an important one, okay? We're going to talk about how you level out into the next energy that you're in on the flame, on the Twin Flame Game. Okay. And here's what was really, these are some things that I wish I would have known in the beginning. Well, that not to fearmonger yourself, because this is really, you don't have much control over timing, okay? So forgive yourself if you're not getting into inner union in 6 months. That's just not how the divine has decided that you are gonna do it. You know, you aren't ready for it. So when you're ready, that's when the divine will let you know, so let that go. Let that go. Realize that you're on the path. Like, I wish I would have known to just go through the levels without fear-mongering myself. I would put my own self in loops because I wasn't elevating fast enough. You know what I mean? And so it's like, in the beginning ones, you don't have control. You don't. So, and also I would always be confused because some people would be like, alchemize or, get rid of your inner trauma or your inner child traumas and ego death and all of these different things, right? And so it's like, well, how do you do all of these things? But as I went along, I realized that they're all different, and in each level requires different things. So, and then at the end of the level, the universe tests you. There's a test to get to your next level, right? And you don't know those tests until later on. You know what tests you're being tested with, but in the beginning one, there's nothing you can do to shift out on your own, okay? So don't worry about that one. This one, it is basically just throwing you on there and letting you realize what the fuck is going on, right? It throws you into it, and you're kind of just out in the cold to start looking shit up, find out your twin flame, really, it's just about, the universe is just going to pull you into finding out what the fuck is going on. You know what I mean? And once that happens, then there's a little shift. You, though, are not going to know about that shift because right now you're in your ego and you don't have a connection with your guides, or just your intuitive side at all. Like, your gifts haven't come in and stuff. And so you don't notice the shift because you're still in your head. You got all these things going on, like when you start to come into inner union, you literally feel the shifts, and you know what you're working towards, Okay, so then when you get into the second energy, now here's the difference between, okay, this is when the traumas are going to come out that you have no control over, that you don't even know are issues. Stuff when you're young, these ones you don't have control over. So you just have to cry them out. And they come out in tears. They come out in tears. It'll be like, I found out something that my stepdad did to me when I was like 10 that I had no idea, but it happened, and so there's stuff that you're like, what, and it's just in, these beginning ones. You are just a fucking mess. So just cry them out. So that's a lot of the first energies, is a lot of, you're just a disaster because you're confused, you know, and you're just barely, and that's when you're getting into, you know, you're just learning to meditate, and these things are just coming. You don't really know how they're coming. Like, let's be real, you don't know. You're just like, what the fuck? Or like, I had one that came about my ex that had previously was abusive, and you know, they once they come, I remember I was driving, it just started to come, and you're just like, oh no, because you know they're coming, you're like, oh shit, you know, and like there's nothing you can do. And I remember I went into a parking lot and cried for like 5 hours, you know, and then it was gone. You know, you don't have control because you don't have a connection yet, and that's okay. So when people are telling you to rush through them, you can't. You're just trying to figure it out, you know? And so just let yourself cry, you know? And that's okay. And you know, it's weird because I took pride in not crying. I remember I used to be like, I haven't cried for like 5 years, you know, and now I'm like, I cry every fucking day. It's like, you know, it's normal. But, so everything's going to be so strange because this is not your normal life, you know, and you're just trying to figure it out. And so, you know, then there's going to be, you know, another shift. And this shift is where you're starting to find out your gifts, right? And so you kind of submerge yourself in all of spirituality. I mean, you just get so obsessed with it. I mean, you want to know everything. Crystals, I mean, it's just, you will try everything. And anything, I'm going to just tell you now, because I didn't trust myself. Like, I remember when I was pulled to get these things and buy these things, I just thought I was doing that because I'm spiritual now, you know, like I didn't really know why, you know. And so anything that's, get it. If you want dowsing rods, if you want tarot cards, if you want whatever it is, because you don't know yet what your gifts are. You don't know. You could be a channel, you could be an energy healer, you could read tarot, you could help, you know, you don't know. And so, and it's nothing that you think it's going to be. That's for sure. It's absolutely nothing you are right now, and it's crazy. So submerge yourself in it. You know, it just gets so fun right then. You're still really confused about the twin, but you get, that is a level where you do get to kind of separate yourself from them, because you get really into other things, you know. You know, and as you start to level up and stuff, and then like, you know, you start to find out like just stuff about star seeds that'll come in, and you know, you just get so into it. And as you get more and more up, like you start getting, all of a sudden you're like, oh, I want to read about quantum physics, and I'm like, the fuck? I didn't even know what quantum physics was. And you can't get enough. There's a stage where you cannot get enough. I would have like one headphone and just feeding me information all the time, everywhere I was going, because I just couldn't get enough. It was so insane. But anyway, that's a long one. We're going to go through a long period of just finding yourself and starting to level out of this shit, you know. But anyways, you once you keep going up, you'll notice that those crazy ones that come out that you have no control over slow down. Those start to end, and other one now these other ones come up, and it's now the work for you is starting to come in, because now these ones are coming in where you have to see them. So when people say you have to alchemize, now these are, because now you're aware, your awareness is up, your consciousness, everything's better. So you are starting to catch all your own stuff. So this is now where they don't come out on their own. Now you have to, it's like you're like bothered by something, you catch it, right? And now you have to alchemize it. So you have to see it. You can't push it down. You got to sit with it, right? You got to sit with it. You just sit with it. I mean, it'll go away. And so this is when you're working, You're working, right? You're alchemizing on your own. These traumas are gone. They're not coming out. Oh, my dog's gonna bark. So that is a very, very different energy when they're saying alchemizing and clearing things, right? So then once that comes out, and you're gonna go through these stages of, once you get out of the stage of wanting your twin, you go through a stage of feeling guilty feeling guilty for them being in their karmic situation, because usually when you're starting to come into a union, they start to get woo with their life. So and you start to like just feel the need to get them out. But that's a long one too, of just and that's when understanding comes in, and just all the stuff ties in with your twin, and all of those things. And then you start to understand, and you start to appreciate, and you are patient about watching them go through their, and you know their karmic situation is still in contract, and so you're okay with it. You're okay with that, and so you keep leveling up, and then you just start getting gratitude and all this stuff for your twin. I mean, it's insane. But then there's a lot of levels here. There is. I'm creating a program though, you guys, and it's gonna have every level and what you do in them. Okay, it's gonna be easy for people like, it's rough. I was all in my ego. I was arrogant. I was just a piece of shit. You know what I'm saying? I was a piece of shit. So anyways, once you are getting into here, so now you have learned breathing, and you have learned all about your chakras. And if there's anything I could say in the beginning, I wish I would have learned about my chakras more, because it's so important. It's energy, it's everything. You're gonna feel everything through there. So once everything's cleared out, right, you're gonna start getting this trapped energy. And those ones you can feel going up your back. It's the Kundalini energy. So you're gonna get all those going up your neck, up your back, and so you're gonna feel those a lot. And you're gonna feel them going up your, to your throat chakra, to your third eye, out the top, all of that stuff. And you're gonna get really into moving that energy. So if you're, dance and move, and you'll notice like in your meditation, like you're rocking, and you're doing all this stuff to try to get it to move, and so you will move that, and so you will start to have this. All of a sudden, I didn't even know what it was, what I'm saying? I didn't know what prana was, but all of a sudden, I'd breathe in, and I would stop, and it would keep going, and I was like, what was that? And then I would blow out, and I would stop, and it would keep going in the air, and I was like, oh, and so I looked it up. I remember I asked ChatGPT, and it was like, that's prana, because you've cleared energy blockages. Okay, so there's that. So then you think you're all clear. So then you get an inner union, and your twin starts to go through their ego death. And boy, okay, so now you are all clear here, but you start feeling their ego death, right? So you start feeling, and it's usually like, I would feel it come up on the right side or the left side, but you start feeling the things they want to say, and their regret, or their karmic situations of when something's going crazy, oh my God, or things they want to say. I would get it coming out of my throat, like, it would like start to yawn. I'd be like, but it would like stop. It would be like, stops, and it would just be trying to come out. And I didn't understand what it was, but it's insane, So anyways, now in this energy, it's all about grounding yourself and holding back, staying strong, not trying to reach out and help, not feeling guilt, just appreciating, just surrendering. It's all about surrendering. And the more you see, and the more things tie in, the more you will surrender. It's easier to surrender, but control will always try to creep in. For me anyways, it does. And I have to check myself constantly. But in this energy, is where it's all about your balancing, but you're gonna be so connected, you're gonna catch all that shit. Like, you're gonna be like, am I pushing energy here? Should I, and you'll cut it off. You won't be scared to cut it off. You'll cut that shit off and you will see a shift in your dude, you know? So it's just different energies, each one. And each one at the end of them, like, comes with like a test, you know? You do get tested. I mean, I would get through one and then all of a sudden it would be like, you know, I'd have karmic exes coming in. I mean, they will test you to see if you're gonna fall back into old patterns, to see, you know, where you're at in your journey. And you know, you're gonna fucking pass them. Don't worry about it. But it's awesome. So there's just different levels, and you know, don't worry about trying to rush through them, because the divine is the only one that's going to let you through to the next level. You know what I'm saying? Like, they will let you know when you're ready. And it's an obvious shift. I mean, there's a few more. I mean, I'm rushing through them, but like, you know, there's a lot of levels that you're going to go through. There's all these different energies because you're finding out so much and you do so much research and stuff. And as you go up here, your consciousness expands, and so all of a sudden, memories, past life memories, and I mean, it's just insane. I mean, all of a sudden I can do math. I'm like, I was stupid my whole life. I had ADD, and, you know, I didn't give a shit about math. All of a sudden I'm like, what? You know, I learned how to do like plates, weightlifting plates. But anyways, so you learn to meditate, because once you learn to meditate, the clarity comes in the beginning. So like, when you're trying to learn to meditate and you just don't even know what's going on, you don't feel like anything is happening, but you are getting downloads, because all of a sudden you resonate, right? All of a sudden it makes sense, and then you shift out. So it's all about, even if you don't know, just sit there, because the clarity will come in. You may not feel a download come in, but all of a sudden you're gonna know, and you're like, that's weird that I know that, you know? And so you'll start to trust yourself more, and then it just starts to become enjoyable. I wish I would have just relaxed a little more. You know what I'm saying? Like, just know that, you know, this is something you signed up for, and that it's gonna be anything this amazing. You know, you have years and years and years of patterns and beliefs and lies, you know? And so just look at, like, I look at myself now and I just think, if anybody, literally, people don't know now, but if anybody would see me talking about like spiritualism and stuff like that, I mean, like, what? You know, it's no one would ever believe it, because, you know, I was just, you know, I'm not, but I was a good person, you know, but like, I had it rough, you know. I went to prison at 19 for 7 years, you know, in Oakland. And so, you know, I succumbed to like violence, and I thought that was the way of life. And so just, you know, this is just, it's different and it's amazing. And, you know, I want that for everybody, because it's literally it's a whole different life. It's a whole different life. And, you know, 3D life sucks in the ego. So, you know, let's get out of the ego and live a happy life with a fucking badass dude or, you know, girl next to you that is just like you. You know what I mean? Like, doesn't get better than that. And you're fucking got powers and shit. Nah, we're good. Let's do this.